Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first installment of this season's Alpenglow Winter Speaker Series. Thank you all for joining us. Please find your seats and join me in welcoming the man that makes this all possible, Mr. Brendan Madigan.
Yeah, what's up, people? Who's fired up for 6 feet of snow coming our way? Come on now, give it up for that. 6 feet of snow. All right, guys, my name is Brendan Madigan. I'd like to cordially welcome all of you to the kickoff of our 17th annual Alpenglow Sports Winter Speaker Series presented by Tahoe Mountain Realty. It's been 3 years since we've been able to get together like this, so let's give it up for that. We've got a very, very special show for you tonight, a never-before-seen show. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jeremy Jones is in the building. At least I hope so, or I'm buying a lot of beer. Before we get started tonight, we've got some throwouts. We've got some free stuff. Who wants some free stuff? Okay, we got strategic positions all over the room. Hats. Beanies. Make some noise if you want some free stuff. Make some noise! All right, that was fun, always fun. All right, y'all, so I see a lot of new faces in the crowd tonight. Thank you for coming. The throwouts are done. As many of you know, the Winter Speaker Series has a two-part mission. The first is to inspire and motivate the amazing souls in the room to go and chase your own mountain dreams. All right, y'all, now you got to quiet down, listen up. Politely convey that to your neighbor for me. Shh. Who said mountain towns don't have any class? Come on, look at that. Exemplary. The second is to educate about and raise funds for local nonprofits who are making a tangible difference here in the North Lake Tahoe and Truckee communities. Now in our 17th year, we have arguably become the gold standard for adventure storytelling in North America. But we couldn't do it without some amazing, awesome partners. Our title sponsor this year is once again Tahoe Mountain Realty, a local business who sees the power of adventure storytelling and the positive impact it can have on a community. I'd like to specifically thank Jeff Brown and Jasmine Watts. I think, team, you're in the room tonight. Go ahead and stand up for me. Stay stood up. And Jasmine, let's give them a big round of applause. Come on, a big round of applause. Thank you for your partnership and, more importantly, your friendship. The Speaker Series has always been an eagerly anticipated local event for the Lake Tahoe Mountain community, but now we're global because we have a live stream. And because of that, we've had major brands sign on to support us and you. These include DPS Skis, Arc'teryx, Peak Design, Nerona, and Osprey Packs. Let's give them a big round of applause. We're also proud to call the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association an awesome partner, and we should definitely give it up for our generous host for the series, once again, Palisades Tahoe. Let's give it up. But that's not all. This thing takes an army. We have the backing of many long-standing and core local businesses including Emerald Bay Wealth Management. Thank you, Hannah Sullivan. Best Day Brewing, the homie Ian is giving out amazing NA brew over there for free. Mogrog Rotisserie, hopefully everyone got free food tonight. Alex, the founder of Mogrog, not only is giving free food tonight, but he's giving 15% of sales throughout the series to the nonprofit beneficiaries. Renaissance Man, Ming Poon Photography. Let's give it up for Ming. Aaron Summer, Launchpad Consulting and Software Management. Sorry, Software Development. They can manage software too, for sure. The homie Daniel Cates and Technical Equipment Cleaners. Evolve Design Works. Mount Lincoln Construction, who's been with us since the beginning. And our media partners, Moonshine Inc., 101.5, KTKE, Truckee Tahoe Radio, and the Tahoe Weekly. We thank you. The tasty adult beverages that hopefully everyone's enjoying tonight have been provided for free from Sierra Nevada and Joel Gott Wines, with 100% of proceeds to benefit Slow Food Lake Tahoe. So let's give it up for that, please. We have a line, but, you know, please be responsible, but don't be scared either. But tonight is about Jeremy Jones and the Art of Shralpinism. But it's also about raising awareness for Slow Food Lake Tahoe, who has a small army with us tonight. So with that, I'd like to welcome Trish Geary, the board president at Slow Food Lake Tahoe.
Hi, my name is Trish Geary, and I'm the board president of Slow Food Lake Tahoe. On behalf of our organization, I'd like to welcome you to the 2022-23 Alpenglow Winter Speaker Series. We are extremely honored to have been selected as a nonprofit beneficiary for this event with Jeremy Jones. Thank you all for being here tonight and showing your support. Food insecurity is a real issue in our community, and it is something we work to address. Since 2004, Slow Food Lake Tahoe has worked to educate the community about growing, preparing, and accessing local sustainable food. Our chapter is one of 100 that exist nationally under the Slow Food USA branch, and collectively we strive to unite the joy of food with the pursuit of equity and justice for all. Slow Food Lake Tahoe's mission is to connect our community to the enjoyment of good, clean, and fair food by inspiring a self-reliant food culture. We do this through our various community programs and projects and the timeless effort of our 8 active board of directors. 100% of our time is donated to performing all administrative and financial tasks, project and volunteer management, marketing development, and getting our hands dirty in the gardens. Slow Food Lake Tahoe serves the Truckee Tahoe community, and you've probably seen us at the Food Bank Garden and Community Gardens, which are both located in the Truckee Regional Park. These gardens are set on approximately 5,000 square feet of land cleared by the Truckee Donner Recreation and Park District, and they are a unique and valuable resource to our community. The Truckee Community Garden was established in 2021 in response to community members asking for garden plots to rent. Through vigorous fundraising efforts and a lot of hard work, we successfully raised enough money and built this space, which opened in June of 2021. It is now home to 35 critter-proof garden beds, which include 5 elevated wheelchair-accessible beds for those with limited mobility. These beds are available to rent for a nominal fee, and we offer scholarships to those who cannot afford them. The Food Bank Garden is our largest and most expensive project. Since 2018, we've harvested over 2,100 pounds of fresh organic produce from this space. This includes the 550 pounds that we harvested this last year, and it was a record-breaking season. All of this yield is donated to a local hunger relief agency, Sierra Community House. These veggies are then given out to community members on distribution days, serving 150 individual units of produce per week to those experiencing food insecurity. The Food Bank Garden also serves as a demonstration space for those interested in learning what it takes to grow food in our high desert climate. and it's a classroom for our Grow Your Own workshop series and youth group visits throughout the summer. This year, we hosted 30 classes in the garden free of charge, teaching kids about growing food, exposing them to new ingredients, and shaping their understanding of a healthy environment. The Food Bank Garden is open May through October for people to visit. It is a hub for compost collection in town through our partnership with Keep Truckee Green. We have a sophisticated system of bins ready for dropping scraps 24/7 during the gardening season. We have successfully been able to divert over 2,000 pounds of scraps annually from the landfill and put them right back into the garden. We also partner with Don't Drop the Top, helping to collect plastic caps and lids, which are then recycled into beautiful park benches, and you may have seen some of them around town. So, how do we do all this? We would not even be close to where we are today without our dedicated volunteers who show up to help us fulfill and progress our mission. Our board is always developing strategies for volunteer recruitment and retention. In addition to our board of directors and hundreds of volunteers, this year, for the first time, we were able to hire a full-time garden manager. Without the garden manager position, we would not be able to run the food bank garden solely on volunteer support. And without the food bank garden, all of the programs we currently offer for free to our community would cease to exist. Our goal is to continue making the Food Bank Garden a valuable resource for our local community to utilize and be inspired by. To learn more about Slow Food Lake Tahoe's project and programs and how you can get involved, please visit our website at slowfoodlaketahoe.org. Thank you again for coming out to support us tonight and learn more about our growing organization. Cheers.
All right, guys, give it up for Slow Food Lake Tahoe. Come on now. So it's literally been since February of 2020 since we've been able to pack the house. So thank you all for coming. We've got an amazing raffle tonight. We got to thank Jared's sponsors, Jones Snowboards and Apparel, POC, Karakoram, Yeti. Let's give them a big round of applause, guys. Okay, we've got 15 prizes. Do I have a copy? Okay, first up is a Yeti 10-ounce coffee mug. Hold on, I gotta say, if you're tuning in from Truckee or the West Shore or Romania, you're epic. We wish you were here, but we might not have been able to fit you anyway. We're going to see you in like 10 minutes. And just so everyone knows, there's two raffles this year. There's the in-person raffle, and there's the online raffle. The epicness for everyone here is you can participate in the physical raffle, which is the dopest prizes, so we can bring the crowd out again after COVID. But you can also buy them online. So it's win-win, and then the online winners we're announcing tomorrow on our YouTube channel at 9 a.m. So, first up, we have a Yeti 10-ounce coffee mug, Karakoram flex locks for your split border, and Karakoram tip locks valued at $100. Who wants some of that? There's got to be more snowboarders in the room. Come on now. Jeez. All right, I got a red ticket. Who's got a red ticket? 064616. 064616. Going once. All right, we got a winner. Let's give it up for the winner.
of like a voice in the background. This thing, you know, COVID-19's coming.
We manufacture the world's most advanced skis. This is our factory here in Salt Lake City where we produce them, and we have about 50 people that are here. So would we have to go into layoffs or furloughs? We just didn't know.
A crisis like COVID can completely dismantle or shut down your business. Or it's an opportunity to make something better and bigger of yourself and show your capability.
We're seeing what people were doing from a manufacturing standpoint, converting their operations. So we happen to have a Eastman static cutting machine. A couple of our engineers realized, well, why don't we just try cutting the plastic for those face shields?
The team at DPS had to figure out how to manufacture something they'd never manufactured before. What's the resources? What are the parts and components that you need?
We need to make a design that works really well, but we can also make it in high quantities. Made a couple designs, prototyped a bunch, and after talking to the manufacturing guys, we just made some very slight changes and some really big changes as well. And sure enough, it improved our throughput significantly.
But we still had the issues to solve. You know, supply chain, could we even get the plastic materials? We also figured that we'd be doing it at a loss.
When an emergency happens, it's often good for our business. Let's take the good fortune that we've had, that we've been afforded this time, and let's help them out, both as a company, but also help our healthcare workers out as well. They did the hard work. We wrote a check.
We make some of the best headlamps in the outdoor industry, if not on the planet. Why not give our headbands to DPS to complete that solution for a medical face shield?
Wasatch Container Box Essentials has donated hundreds of boxes to our cause. Seeing a pallet full of face shields leaving makes me feel really incredible and proud to work for a company like this is doing something for such a great cause.
In a time like this, status quo is out the door. You have to be nimble, you have to think outside the box, and really need to be innovative. And that's the beauty of what DPS has done, is they've taken that innovation that they put into skis and put it into a medical face mask, and it's been great to be a partner with them.
It's great to just continue to work and help out where we can. I'm not a frontline worker, but, you know, hey, at least if I can do my part and help keeping them safe, it's a win.
This is an Arc'teryx Alpha SV jacket, SV short for severe. It's built to withstand harsh conditions and is durable enough to last beyond the adventures of just one user. We know all adventures must come to an end, but that doesn't mean the end for the jacket. That's a bit dramatic. Something built with this much resilience doesn't go down quite so easily. This is Arc 1, our manufacturing facility near Vancouver, BC. Over 200,000 square feet, and this is lines 21 and 22. It's the home of re-gear, and is where our functionally compromised gear gets another chance. This is Jason Quinn, industrial design graduate and owner of an eclectic listening taste.
Podcasts, nature sounds, ocean waves, a lot of rap.
This is Amanda Garcia. Amanda Garcia prefers the soundtrack with a bit more energy.
I like dance music.
These guys are kind of like professional hoarders.
I call us the dream team.
Yeah, we're the dream team.
Where others might see waste, Jason Quinn and Amanda Garcia see boxes of possibility.
We're pushing boundaries and trying to find new ways to fix the used gear and get it back into use.
The boxes come from different places.
Trade-ins, write-offs, samples.
The dream team sifts through the mountains of exiled gear to find out what can be salvaged, diagnose the problem, bundle the jacket with its new materials, and then it's sent down lines 21 and 22 for surgery. We probably need to say here, by all means, become a DIY fixer for small blemishes, sure. But some repairs are best left to our perennial experts. Experts like Jenna Meng.
其他类型的衣服呢也可以，但是我最喜欢我们 Cornice 的产品。
Once Jenna Meng has removed the seam tape by hand, she passes the baton off to Pilar Rodriguez Laratana, who de-stitches the jacket also by hand.
I have three things that I need for opening a jacket. The ice pick, the seam ripper, and the snippers.
Pilar Rodriguez Laratana is a designer at heart. Even deconstruction lights her up.
When you love to create, it's not a job anymore. To me, it's an obsession.
The next stage of the repair requires surgical precision by Lena Pang to hand trace and hand cut a new panel before sewing it on. This is Eddie Chow. Eddie Chow does not sew.
To be honest, I'm a little afraid of it.
The Re-Gear repair team are elite craftspeople. They may be modest, but Eddie Chow sees their genius every day.
It's really an art how they take any piece of gear, blow it up, repair what's needed, put it all back together, and is just awe-inspiring.
Finally, the jacket is seam taped together by hand. This is seam taping by machine. And this is Jenna Meng seam taping by hand. Jenna Meng hopes by now you understand why we say, leave these fixes to the experts.
它具有很大的难度。
The final hurdle is a forensic last round of QC by Jason Quinn to ensure the jacket's durability.
Our standards and our quality is like the highest in the industry, no matter like what the condition or damage is.
And there you have it, an Alpha SV lovingly refreshed by our team's hands that's ready to weather another user's adventures. This is Re-Gear. This is how things come together to keep the good in play.
280401, yes, winner. Holy cow, Donnie Triplett. Let's give it up for Donnie Triplett. Actually, let me see those tickets, bro. Yeah. Just kidding. Okay, next up, our 11th prize, another Nerona Lofoten Gore-Tex Pro Jacket and Palisades lift tickets valued at $1,000. All right, what color? I got orange. 876771. I've got a Nerona Gore-Tex Pro Jacket and Palisades lift tickets. We got a winner. Bro, your tickets are red. This is orange. I'm just kidding. 771. Okay, next up, we've got a full Jones women's outerwear kit and a Burn Macon helmet valued at $1,000. What color you guys want? I got orange. 113856. Orange ticket. All right. Jones outerwear kit and Burn Macon helmet. So you're going to have to see the stunningly handsome Avery at the Jones table for your prize. Okay, our 13th prize, we're getting to the closer to the grand prize. Karakoram Free Ranger bindings and a Jones Descent 25-liter pack and adjustable poles valued at $1,100. What color, guys? Huh? Green. I got a red ticket. 561691. For Karakoram Free Ranger binding, a Jones backcountry pack, and adjustable poles. David Alvarado is our winner. Come on up. Let's give Dave a big round of applause. Congrats. Okay, our 14th prize is a full Jones men's outerwear kit and another Burn helmet. That's $1,100, folks. I got a red ticket. Who's got some red tickets? 064439. 064439. Going once. Going twice. All right. Come on up for your Jones full freerider kit and burn helmet. Okay, our grand prize. We've got a Jones Solution split board and skins. Who wants some of that, folks? Who wants a split board? All right. All right. I got a yellow ticket. Who's got yellow tickets? Who's got yellow tickets? Come on now. No one? All right, I got an orange ticket. Who's got orange tickets? 1, 3, 7, 5, 8. 113758. Going once. Going twice. Come on, bro, you better hurry up. And I think there's a Yeti mug to go with it too.
2 jackets, 2 boots, mug, and then we said to auction them, sell them, auction them.
Holy cow, we forgot some epic prizes. We've got 2 pairs. Yeah, let's give it up for that homie. Come on now. We've got his and her matching 32 snowboard boots. Elena Height and Jeremy Jones model. Who wants some of that? Come on now. All right, what color ticket? What color? I got red. And I forgot to mention there's 2 Arc'teryx puffies here too. 5, 6, 1, 7, 4, 8. 5, 6, 1, 7, 4, 8. Going once. Going twice. Jeff Rauenhorst, is that your kid? Holy cow, come on, give it up for the Grom winner. Can everyone hear me in the back okay now? Rookie mic move. Can everyone hear me in the back? Raise a hand if you can hear me in the back. Sweet. Okay, grab your partner and tell them to shh. All right. So team storytelling has always been the key theme at the Winter Speaker Series. And it's safe to say there's so many dang people in this room. All of you love a story, right? When we listen to a story, we're transported to another time and place. And this is going to happen tonight when Jared talks. You're going to begin to blink faster. Your palms might sweat. Your facial expressions could shift. And all of those are signs that we are emotionally and neurologically engaged with what we are hearing. But even trippier, brains show in functional MRI scans, our brains light up when we listen to compelling stories. And crazy enough, our brain waves, I'm not making this up, I read it in a scientific journal this morning, start to synchronize, just like an AVI beacon, with the compelling story that you're listening to. Now, the common thread of everyone in this room, in our community, listening tonight, is the need to fill our souls by being in the mountains. Is that right? Our adventures lead to storytelling, which is as old as time. And stories help us see a situation from a different perspective. They can even be so powerful as to shift our core beliefs. And I'm convinced that in today's world, we just straight up need more of that. Listening. Respect. Being open and compassionate with others in your life. And I point this out to emphasize that there is magic in this room tonight that we have collectively built as a community. 17 years, almost 100 inspiring athletes, and over $1 million raised for local nonprofits. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on the ride. We haven't been able to do this since before COVID, so what I want you to do is lean over and hug your neighbor. It doesn't matter how stinky they are. Come on, bro. Okay, folks. I'd like to give a big... Okay, stop hugging. It's starting to get creepy in some cases. I'd like to give a big, warm Tahoe welcome to snowboarding icon and our own homie, Jeremy Jones.
All right, you guys hear me okay? Let me get a little adjusted. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe that's the wrong button. There we go. That's the right button. Before I get started, I can live anywhere in the world. And there is kind of some seating in this middle row here. As long as Alcie's not here and gets mad about the fire lane. But obviously we got amazing mountains, we got the lakes, we got the ocean, but I think I know it's the people that when my wonderful wife and I decided to have kids, it was definitive, no questions asked, we are raising our kids here because of you. So thank you. So in the film world, we call this a cold opener. I'm going to dive right into it. I wrote this, I dropped my kids off at the best snowboard team in the world. Palisades snowboard team. Big Mountain team. All you coaches, if you're in the room, you guys are doing God's work. But it was hard pack, it was early, and I went back to my car to finish my coffee, and I was out looking at KT not far from here. So many memories in one view. My first time in line, age 18, seeing all my heroes from the snowboard movies. Or at 20, when Mike Hatchett, the owner of Standard Films, asked if I wanted to film with him on the chair. But some of the worst ones too. Mental and physical soul-tearing wounds that turn into scar tissue that never really heals. Of all the crazy places I've been, this single view right here has taken more friends than any in the world. Right in front of me is the spot I lost one of my closest friends, MC. Farther up the mountain, I see the chute where C.R. Johnson hit a rock and died on the spot. To my left, the tree that took Eric Roner's life. The building where we memorialize them. And too many others is behind me, right here. The good memories are less vivid. So many cliffs stomped and lines ridden in perfect conditions with friends hooting by my side. So many love of sport hours spent riding technical steeps in variable conditions and powering through bumpy outruns to build my legs and confidence so I'd be ready when the stars aligned on the distant trophy lines. My one and only descent of the iconic spine wall that towers above the valley, McConkey's, takes up space in my memory. Shane McConkey's death was still so fresh when I walked into that lift line early on a powder day. Ski Patrol surprised me when they said I had early ups because it was the first time and only time I'd been allowed up early. The line looked so good, said the patrollers on the lift. I had missed the memo, but they were letting me up early to ride the line that had been renamed in Shane's honor. Using the post of the Eagle monument that held Shane's ashes, I shimmied onto the face, made a few technical turns in a controlled free fall, hit the exit air surrounded by my slough, and stomped the landing. Yeah. An emotional avalanche overcame me as I rode out the bottom, so I pulled over into a group of trees and wept. Surprisingly, there are a few other memories from almost 30 years and thousands of hours spent on this lift. I think the sparseness of my memories is because I am always so present and forward-thinking on the mountain. No reason to think about yesterday when there's so much to figure out today. Where's the best snow? What lines are in? Is it gullies, groomers, and cat tracks? The mountains force us to be present, and I wonder if that is the hook that keeps us coming back day after day, year after year. However, without thought, the past does guide. A gentle whisper in my ear, run after run, helps me charge blind rolls, dance through cruxes, and hit the sweet spot of an air. So much time and joy and pain from this single lift. Seasons and days piled together, but no two are the same. The steady teacher whose lessons are subtle but collectively significant. Mostly it's the friendships formed here that stick with me. Now it is sharing the mountains with my kids. Combine the teachings tied to this lift, the joy and the pain, the friendships made, the conversations had, the informal chain of mentorship that naturally gets passed from generation to generation, and you come to understand how powerful a single chairlift is to a community. Thank you. And ironically, well, I shouldn't say this, but there's a whisper that it might open tomorrow. So backing up real quick, I, youngest of three brothers, grew up on Cape Cod, highest point 200 feet above sea level. Hockey was a big part of our life, but I don't know if it was unorthodox or what, but my dad, the one thing my dad did instill in an early age with us was reading and art. And it was not about the outcome, it was about the process. He'd like to say, get on the other side of your brain and let it take you for a ride. So as we, as my parents found Vermont late, kind of as young adults, due to my grandfather, which coming from Cape Cod was like finding the North Pole. And I say that because I'm part of a huge family of about 96 immediate cousins. 12, my mother's one of 12, my dad's one of 4, Irish Catholics, do the math. And roughly 90 still live on Cape Cod or were the drivers. Oh, shit, we're not moving. Okay, we got some tech. That is a good time to take a sip. We got it? Okay, there's me and my wonderful brothers. Yes. Good old-fashioned bowl cut. Here's my dad, the painter. And now we're in Vermont. It felt like a normal family. But my parents, unlike how I am, it's like, drop us off, we'll see you at lunch, we'll see you at the car at the end of the day. But there was a poll that we had in Vermont that my brothers and I instantly were like, oh, this is so incredible. And it was the start of my early day of informal mentorship, where we knew exactly who the best skiers were on the mountain. We tried to ride the lifts with them. And there was one guy, Bruins man in particular, who's hands down the best guy. And we finally, my brother Steve got to ride the lift with him, and the lift ride then is like 25 minutes. And he gets down and he's like, I'm like, what was it all about? And he's like, he skis every day. I'm like, oh my God, that is incredible. What's he do for work? And he was a bartender in winter and painted houses in the summer. And my brothers and I when we reconnected with my dad, we're like, Dad, you wouldn't believe it. This guy skis every day. And at the time, my dad was working so hard that it was, sometimes he wouldn't be able to come up on the weekends. And so, suffice to say, my brothers and I quickly moved into the restaurant industry and the painting industry. And we did that for quite a few years. So when I was 9 years old, I went to a general store in the basement, and there was a Burton back hill. And at that time, I was a skateboarder, and it just was like a dream come true to be able to snowboard on a mountain. But no instructions, took forever to learn how to ride. I'd ski all day, and then at night I would go and we'd go with headlamps and snowboard. And when I was 12, I was allowed at the mountain, and the skis went away after that. It was like I got off that lift, and things just went three-dimensional on me, and been hooked ever since. So my brothers and I lived, we just loved the mountain, and at night we'd watch our VHSs, and it was Scott Schmidt and it was Tom Burt. Those were the guys. Just so happened to call this place home for a long time. And we were all in on the mountains. And so by 16, I competed in everything, but I was, as a professional, I turned pro when I was 16, got third in my first race, and I got 40th in the first half pipe. It was $150 to enter each. I quickly moved to racing. Won $900, was able to keep going to the next race and the next race and the next race. But it was always about all mountain riding. When I was 19, my brother Steve called and said, hey, you got to come to Thompson Pass, Alaska. I'm like, well, I don't really have any money. He's like, sell the mountain bike, sell the tent. We actually have a tent. We got a spot in our tent for you. Bring a sleeping bag and a ton of Cliff Bars. You're in. And it was a mix of foot-powered, plane, heli bumps, and at the end of that trip, I got dropped off on Meteorite Mountain, and this is my brothers and I standing on top, and I knew definitively there was no going back. I didn't know how, but I was going to go to Alaska no matter what. And ironically, we would use the helicopter and then we'd hike to the road. And so has anyone seen the 50 Project of Cody Townsend and I doing this mission? Amazing, incredible work. But you see that road hike, and I had actually done it because we we could pay $50 to get dropped at the top, but then it would be another $50 to get dropped from the bottom back to the road. So we walked to the road. I was the only snowboarder. At one point, I was traversing the mountain, and there was a huge grizzly bear, and I'm watching how fast he's moving, and I'm like, I can't. I was going through all this Abbey debris, and there was no way I could move that fast. I'm like, he either wants me or he doesn't. But thankfully, he didn't. But it had been a dream forever to go and hike that thing on foot, and it was so awesome to do that with Cody. And so check out that deal. But along the way, we had this kind of big mountain shaking moment when Doug Coombs and Noah Selaznick rode super spines. We'd never seen spines before. We didn't know they were rideable. And my brothers and I, from that point, became incredibly spine obsessed. My brothers were actually guiding them with Mike Hatchett, and Aaron Sedway took this photo. And I went on just a spine, they just overtook my life. Pretty quickly, TGR had started. I was able to make a living free riding in the movies. This is a film, Paradox. Tim Manning, instrumental in so many of these standard films with the Hatchet brothers. And this is Blackwood Canyon, Grizzly Spine, and really cool. One of those things where sometimes you ride a line and you're like, man, I got that thing figured out. I can ride that thing all the time. This was one of those where I was like, man, that's like a 1 in 20. I got so lucky on the bottom, and just kind of the tranny gods came up and grabbed my snowboard, and I somehow rode out of it. And it had not been ridden successfully. It had been a couple of attempts for, 15, 20 years, until some really ambitious woman named Elena Height nailed this thing a couple of years ago. So cheers to Elena. So I got, along with my brothers, I got really good at using helicopters to snowboard in Alaska, and did a bunch of amazing snowboarding. And when I was 30 with a newborn daughter, at that point I'm getting paid because I'm in snowboard films, and at this particular year, I was in 5 snowboard films. I could basically shoot a video part in about 3 sunny days in Alaska. And so this was potentially the biggest movie that's ever been done. Career's cranking, got the newborn, 30, career's doing amazing. But one of those movies I did was with Chris Edmonds, called My Own 2 Feet. And this was a foot-powered film, and it was a place I had been wanting to go to for a couple of years, and I kept talking to the existing film companies, and I'm like, I don't want to go in with Sunset. And we were starting to hit boundaries. And it became clear to me it was always about finding new dream lines. And once I started hitting boundaries, I'm like, I know there is so much more out there, and if we can figure out how to hike them and camp out there, we can do it. But there was all this, how are we going to charge the batteries? How do we keep the lenses unfogged? Well, Chris Edmonds figured that out. And the last, I came home from Alaska after That's It, That's All, and the last time I was out with Chris, I rode this line on South Shore, and I kind of throttled this line, came out the bottom, and I was brought to tears. A white moment for me. And it was wild because I'd been all over Alaska for almost 2 months, and I'm like, I just got hands down the biggest high on this moment. And I went towards that moment and just went all in on foot-powered snowboarding. And to do so, I needed to shift my whole scene. And I needed new mentors. And my whole life has always been, when I say mentors, I mean people a little bit further down the road than I am that have more knowledge that I can learn from. And so here I am with Jim Zellers, who, yes, Jim Zellers. Him and his wife Bonnie had quietly been mastering foot-powered snowboarding all over the world, but their work in the High Sierra, which I still consider one of the most guarded ranges, has been incredible. So I learned a ton from Jim. The Morrison brothers, this is us. And I think in one of their vans a long time ago, really early, getting ready, I think it was to go do Whitney, and this was probably the last time I saw their faces. Because I learned, can you see the little shadows there? That's Jim and John. I learned like 20 years ago, you're probably not going to see them, and then 2 days ago, that's Jim and John, and I was kind of close. And then we got Brennan Lagasse, who's epitomizes a good riding partner. This past winter when we had 3 inches of snow, I called him up jokingly and I'm like, hey man, I hear Friel's going off. He's like, really? I was over at Rose. And just that happy, down for it all. Definitely had to learn to wake up in the dark, walk really long periods of time to get to that beautiful view of the West. This is Nick Russell standing there, and it epitomizes the wonderful problem that I have this hit list that, it takes a long time to cross something off the hit list, but you get to the top, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe these. I think about climbing mountains I always go into it with, I need 20 no's to be turned into 20 yeses, and I always know the last no is the hardest one to get because that's where there's wind loading and stuff. So it's always this big surprise for me to get to the top of a mountain. But anyway, you finally have the perfect cocktail of ingredients. You get to the top, you look out, and there's 10 more dream lines. So the list gets bigger. So kind of figured it out a bit in the Sierra, but it needed to work in Alaska. This is a photo Seth Lightcap took, and it's us just what my brothers and I call spacemen on a tether. I mean, it's just so out of our comfort zone, clinging to this spine, and because that was the thing. I mean, when we started doing the foot-powered stuff, it was like, how's the hippie snowboard movie going? And I wanted to go and ride the best rides of my life, though. And I felt like if I could figure it out on foot, I could. Hold on. So this is me camping at the top of what I still consider one of the best lines of my life, and I'm with Ryland Bell. And we had this great idea of, we're going to climb this huge couloir, camp on top, and then we're going to throw our gear down in the morning. And I'm like 10 feet to the top of this dream line. And then I'm going to walk over and ride this line. So we get to the edge of the couloir, and I got my only sleeping bag and only sleeping pad. And it's at that moment where I'm like, I need to let this thing go down this 3,500 foot couloir. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. But we do it, and I've never seen something accelerate like that, and just tomahawking, and it's going, and we get to this, and then there's the Bergschrund, which is this basically a crevasse, and Riley and I are like, oh my God, the Bergschrund, and the thing just barely clips the Bergschrund and then rolls into the flats. And then we walk over and ride a rad line. And so this brings me to fear, because I had so much fear, throwing away the norms of this career of traditional snowboard filming. And part of it was, can I do it? What are people going to think? And so here's a little note on fear that I jotted down. I believe that fear is the most powerful and detrimental emotion in life, and the biggest culprit keeping us from our dreams. For me, there are two types of fear. Fear of dying, which is good fear, and fear of failure, which is bad fear. Astonishingly, I might have lost more sleep over fear of failure than fear of dying. Understanding the root of your fear and having an intimate relationship with your fear is critical. Fear can keep you alive, but it can also keep you from living. Yes, thank you. Okay, so going towards that fear, something I never thought I would do is write a book. Yes. So I have always kept a journal. I've always done art, and again, going back to my dad, just about the process. Never intention of putting that out into the world. And again, going towards that fear. And now I've done it enough where I'm like, never done this before, kind of nervous. I've determined that nervousness and excitement need to go hand in hand. And so I've done that enough where I'm like, all right, I'm going toward, let's do this. But I still might not have done it if it wasn't for my neighbor, Chris Crossan. And I met Chris at the bus stop. So every morning we would, a bunch of Truckee kids would go to Kings Beach to the immersion school. Did you do that? And this guy kept showing up with snow pants on, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he was backcountry skiing every day. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And it turns out he's an artist. This is a board we did for the Puerto Rico hurricane, raised $20,000 with his art on this board. But Chris, knowing we would always talk about the snow conditions and had a very like-minded mindset towards the mountains. And I knew that having Chris there to kind of corral my work and really help me to just really write freely and not be afraid of saying something wrong. Because here I am writing this book that, like, maybe you read it and make a decision and it doesn't go right. That's a scary thing. So thank you, Chris, for the help on that. Experience is something you get just after you need it. I am really experienced. The trick is to become experienced without dying. I'm not here to say that I'm above any of that. I honestly can, there's that unweighted step, and there's I think by my calculations, I've probably lost 5 or 6 of my 9 lives. And I mean that where a massive slope settlement, a tomahawk where I'm that far from a rock or what have you, I do not stand up here and say, I got this all figured out. Those who aren't with us don't. It is serious stuff in the mountains. We unfortunately lose about 120 people a year in the mountains on snow, in avalanches. So this is not fear-mongering. The mountains are real. So one of the things to get me over the kind of like, who am I to write a book, is I decided I'm going to bring in a bunch of different voices. And so here's one of them. John Krakauer's a really, had an opportunity to go up to Denali with him. Incredible Shralpinist. This is about him talking about many days he goes into the mountains and turns around. Doesn't like what he sees. And I think about that where I keep track of how many times I turn around. When was the last time I turned around? And so when I'm in the mountains and stuff's a little weird, I'm like, oh, it's been 2 weeks since we turned around. We got to turn around. It's to flex the muscle. And if you've never gone into the mountains and haven't turned around, that's a little bit of a red flag. So Hillary Nelson. This was kind of weird, I don't know what you want to call it, but the reality is when she went missing, I got the first copy of the book. And I opened it up, and the longest interview I have in the book is with Hillary. Meaning her words were so resonated with me that she ended up being the longest interview in the book. And mind you, in the book, someone told me, they said, I did the math, there's roughly 350 years of experience in the book. So here's something Hillary, one of the questions I asked her, because thankfully I've had the opportunity to be in the mountains with her, and she's so sturdy, and especially when it gets spicy, it's, her comfort over exposure was incredible, and then her ability to just keep going. And so my question here was, you have a knack for suffering. How do you keep going when your whole body is screaming to stop? So kids out there, listen up. Because I got 2 of them that tell me they can't go anymore. Not my daughter, but... Sorry. Good question. It's... Oops. Hillary would have liked that. It's about focus for me. I know that suffering is a whole body experience, but mentally I can focus on individual pains without physical distress. Those pains always shift as I keep moving. This keeps my mind active, and the feedback loop tells me that no pain is constant. It's shifting and changing, and therefore I can keep going because suffering is fluid. Plus, I always want to see what I can handle, and every day is different, so why not keep going and burst through the ceiling? So that sounds like great advice, but who's been on a mountain where you're like, I cannot go any further? Think of Hillary and get walking. Yes. Jimmy Chin, had some great times in the mountains with him, and it was an interesting thing. I asked him about fear, and to stay on that fear theme, Jimmy, we know he's done some of the most incredible things in the world in the mountains, and he said, people often ask me what the greatest risk you took in life. For me, it's clear as day what that great risk was. Deciding to leave behind all the exceptions of my parents. The pressure of what I was supposed to be doing. That was the greatest risk I ever took. Sorry, parents. But to you kids, if something grabs the inner soul of you, I can tell you, the more unorthodox it is, the fewer people are going to be on the sideline and say, that's a great idea. You should do that. When it came time for me to, we were supposed to take the SATs and apply to college, I said, I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. That did not go over well. And I mean, I think it was until I was 26 that my mother stopped asking me when I was going to go to college. And then I think it was at about 35 when she said, "What are you going to do when you're done snowboarding?" So another thing, we go into fitness. Fitness is the price we pay for our powder. And Jimmy has this great line. To me, it's not about getting in shape, it's about not getting out of shape. And I kind of run that deal where I'm like, I'm too lazy to get out of shape. I don't want to have to go on a diet, so I just keep a decent level of baseline. But there's really 3 people I go deep on fit. We're not that deep, but I give a page to. So there's Tom Brady. I don't know if I'd put him in there now, but he's in there. New England, you can take the New Englander out of New England, but you can't take the New Englander or whatever that thing is. But Tom Brady's obviously defying athletic ability. Anyone that's seen his college workouts, they're horrific. So there's something to be learned there. Then the second one is Laird Hamilton. We all know Laird. He's gnarly. I don't even really have to say anything. And the third one's a little bit more, you probably wouldn't guess this one, but it's this guy right here. Jim Zellers. Never been in a gym. Usually shows up with, I learned from him, as Nick said on this stage, like always bring a bag of potato chips for when you get done. But here's Jim at 55 years old, ripping the Rally for Rocker course. And at the end of the day, why do we do all this fitness? It's so we can go out there and ride every day. And I remember when I went to Foot Powered Snowboarding, I started hanging out with Jim all the time. And I was 30, and I'm like, this guy is kicking my ass, biking, climbing, snowboarding. He's 40. I'm like, I'll get him at 40. Turned 40, he's 50. Still kicking my ass, biking, climbing, snowboarding. Well, now he's recovering from a new hip, which is kind of scary because I had him with the old hip. Jury's still out on when I'm 50 and he's 60, and I'm not, no money of mine's going down on them. Okay. So as we walk into these mountains, it's so critical to be present, and I wrote something about that, that really so much of this book it's a complement to the Avalanche classes, that are a little bit more, say, tactical, textbook-y, and I think mindset is such a big part of going into the mountains. And too often, when there's an accident in the mountains, we get hyper-focused on what that missed call is in the mountains, opposed to what led up to smart, educated people making a call that costs them their lives. And that's, to me, where the learnings are, and so much in the book is about that. But I like this passage. The mountains are whispering to us. Brainwaves and senses wide open and alert to pick up the words. Moods and lights the mountains are whispering to us. At first, our minds are cluttered and noisy. We struggle to hear their whispers. With patience and openness, we start a conversation. What are they telling us? So kids, Snapchat, it gets in the way of what the mountains are telling us. So it's good to airplane mode. And I'm as guilty as anyone, but what are they telling us? So we need to be present. Agendas and egos muddle their words. An open and quiet mind, coupled with low expectations and acceptance of the mountains, is key to the long life dancing in these untamed and unruly environments. Understanding when to dig in and push through the hard times, to be totally committed to a goal, charging into the dark unknown, past your comfort zone and past the boogeyman. but just as easily turning your back on the goal without hesitation when the door gets slammed shut. That is the dance. That is Shralpinism. Into the side. So I first heard this line from Chris Crossan, and hands down, the most dangerous thing in the mountains is ego. And that's my ego, that's your ego, that's your group egos. This scar on my face, that's ego. So I'm so acutely aware when I see someone flexing in the mountains and their ego flaring up, I'm out. I want nothing to do with that. And again, personally, it's like when I'm on, when you kind of just can't go wrong, we'll get on these runs where everything's working, and that's, I've been slapped down on ego. So that's something I keep personally in check and really watch for partners. And I would say the one constant consistency with my partners is no ego in the mountains. I can't deal with it. So let's get into a little more tactical stuff. Just a little note on what I call slab management. And so at the top you see obvious starting zones, just the convex rolls going. At the bottom you see these crown lines. When I start seeing crown lines going uphill, I get really scared. That's when islands of safety no longer work. And I put this slide in here because it's an example of why pictures to me are worth 1,000 words. And we have the most incredible AVI center that gives us our forecast. And shout out, are there any forecasters in the room tonight? Yeah, shout out to the forecasters. And shout out to the patrollers. I know everyone, yeah. But anyways, photos of slabs so often happen on the same elevation, the same style of terrain, same aspect, and we are investigators to see what that is. And so I really that's why when we're in the mountains and if you see, a crown line, take a picture, tag the Avalanche Center, because if it's happening on a northeast aspect at 7,000 feet at Ward Canyon, it's probably going to happen on that same exact type of terrain at Deep Creek or Castle Peak. Yeah, foot-powered snow. This is living in a tent. It's glorious looking, but it's actually not that glorious when you wake up and your boots are frozen. And just a wild thing where I've done it enough, and so when we have these mountains, there's always we have an objective, and we have a perfect time of day we want to drop in, so we know what time we want to leave camp. We always give ourselves extra time, and because I never want to rush in the mountains, and because that will affect the next day in the mountains. So I hate sweating in the mountains. It's just because I'm an all day, every day kind of guy. But it's wild. Winter camping, those tent shots look cool, but it takes 2 hours to get a crew out of camp in the morning in the winter. Never seen it happen faster. So you don't see that in the movies. Lots of little infographics that I doodle around on, and this is an example of risk for time of year and days on snow for time of year. So as we get later into the winter, the snowpack simplifies. The higher sun angle does a lot of wonders to it. And so it's common if we have the honor to get off on KT maybe tomorrow, and you're like, man, I got off and I was following Jeremy, and he's kind of riding slow. I saw him go around like 6 airs. It's December. I'm in it for March, April, and May, so it's stacking days for those later times. So this is Elise. Are you here, Elise? No, she's not here. She's got a kid at home. Maybe she's watching online. And cheers to the online audience. So Elise was so honest and giving on the book. She was a part of the horrific Tunnel Creek Avalanche, and there's a lot of Elise in here. And but here's a quote from her that I really enjoyed. That is guided from her pretty horrific experience. But and Elise, I've been in the mountains with her. She films with TGR. She's just phenomenal skier. But and there's I don't know if Michelle's in the room, but I've been a part of so many crews where you have the one woman and a bunch of guys, and so it's really, I was so honored to get the women's voice in here. And one thing I've always made a point is I think that we are stronger having a woman's voice in the mountains with us. Yes. Cheers to the women. Yeah, the ego is not your amigo. Was the women? You could take a nap. You could go to the bathroom during that talk. I've never seen women with flex and ego out there. But anyways, from Elise, another powerful thing that has changed within me is finding my voice. It is not that I wasn't speaking up before this incident per se, but because moving through the mountains safely is a fairly black and white issue to me. I became more apt to vocalizing my thoughts, questions, and or concerns, even if it goes against the grain of the group. This is also enriched by not blindly relying on partners that seem way more experienced. It's best to always be a part of the conversation. So that's another thing I see in the mountains, male or female, where you got kind of that one. I see these groups out there, and there's the one buddy who maybe took an Abbey one, and they dug the snow pit, and their friends are like, wow, he dug a snow pit, that was cool. He must know what he's talking about. But if they get their head out of the snow pit, they'd be like, well, there's a natural avalanche over there. So just because you're not the most experienced person in the group, have your head on a swivel and you are part of that group. And I go into language and framing in the book, and here's a note that I wrote on that. Language is important. Saying, let's go take a look, instead of we're going to climb and ride a line, or suggesting I am going to start up the Widowmaker instead of I am going to climb and ride the Widowmaker. Subtle signals to everyone that our goals that day will only happen if everything falls perfectly into place. Everyone is clear that we can turn around at a moment's notice if something does not feel right. So we got kind of a funky pack right this second, and so I put this in there. What to do when the Abbey danger is high. Avoid Abbey terrain, 30 degrees and lower. Go power surfing, ride a resort, Nordic skiing, build a snow cave. Clean your garage or closet, go meadow skipping. So it's not that, tomorrow we'll probably have high Abbey danger, but right now we have this persistent weak layer, and so now we're living with a deep instability that's dormant right now. This new load might change that. And the key to that is it's super aspect relevant. So it's know your aspect, know your angle, know the snow history. So that is so critical with what we're dealing now. This is a chart that if anyone's taken an Abbey course, you probably saw. And I was kind of at the top of that chart when I was 24. And this chart makes no sense. Well, now I'm 40-something, and I'm for sure at the far right of that. And I don't know if I've met anyone that's been in the mountains for 30 years that's not at the far right. So this is a note towards this, and I think about Glenn Paulson a little bit with this poem, but I wrote this for Chris Figgenshaw, I spent a lot of time with. Old Man Figs. He is at home in the mountains, steady and unflinching, a deep but simple thinker. His school is his eyes, so much time in the vertical world, walking, gliding, climbing, and being. Days turn into years, years turn into decades. The happy pessimist, untrusting of the snowpack, finding joy in harvesting the local wind buff or noodling the low-angle fields of Pow as he patiently waits for simplicity in the snowpack. Every day, every season. Not cutting edge or boundary breaking most of the time. An elite, seemingly casual journeyman with a large and growing number of cutting-edge descents around the world. Yes. It's a patient game we play because the fact, one bad call can erase a lifetime of good calls, and every day is a new day. So, family. Lovely wife, daughter, and son, and this to me is the ultimate powder day. We're out at Frog Lake, it's getting dark, and my life is set up around the mountains, and they've done, they're such a powerful force for me, but it wasn't until I had family that I really understood the value of the outdoors. How the time outside with kids and the lessons Mother Nature and the mountains teach us is incredible. An example of that would be, this is my lovely wife, Tiffany. So this is the start of a great and wonderful sandbag. We're on our way to Frog Lake, and it is the most beautiful sunset, and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's pretty, but we should keep moving. And pretty soon, this is us, and we get to that, the hut at midnight, and we're with some of my daughter's friends who may be here, but they're like, your family is crazy. But the mountains are one of the few things where we got, there's a book at Frog Lake about Frog Lake nightmares, and we got a page in that. And so we got a little bit off, teeny bit off course. But one of the kids is like, I see the cabin. And I'm like, I don't think so. But I'm like, they're happy. I keep my mouth shut. But at one point, I'm like, I'm sorry, but we're at least an hour from the cabin when they saw the cabin, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is another example. We got Michelle Parker, Jim, Elena, Glenn probably found the secret doorway. We were with him that day. It's funny, I get in the mountains with Glenn a lot. I don't have a single photo of him. He's like a snow leopard out there. But this was classic because Zellers is the master of the art of sandbagging, and I got him good on this day. And we're at the top of this big face on the east side, and it's like we're looking down a 3,000-foot panel, and it looks like it rolls perfectly in. He's like, I don't know, man. I didn't see the exit. We walked right underneath that thing. And I never saw the exit of this line. I'm like, well, Jim, it's big terrain. It's out there somewhere. So we ended up down climbing. But the one trait with all the partners that I want to be with, and Elena Haidt here sums it up, is just so fired up to be out there. And it's not always powder and rainbows and unicorns, and we do get lost and things happen, and there's, humor is the art of it. Ming, shout out to the cameraman, Ming clawing up a chute. Ming is no stranger to the joys of type 2 fun. Nick Russell. So Nick, I got to read this from Nick because he was like 2 months late on missed the deadline on Art of Shralpinism. But I said, what is Shralpinism to you, Nick? On this endless quest for our dream descents, one must apply every skill acquired and lesson learned over the years in order to be safe and successful. It requires practice, creativity, patience, humility, and complete focus in the present moment. We ride a delicate line that is often blurred by ambition, intuition, and fear. Okay. So, moving, we're almost towards the end here. Moving towards this beautiful earth. I wrote this poem because I love looking at earth from far away. No borders, no districts, no states, no nothing. Like it or not, we are all connected. One world, one planet. We all breathe the same air, drink the same water, and weather the same storms. My trash is your trash is my trash. Your problems are my problems are your problems. Hate and divisiveness is not the answer to those problems. Solutions lie in empathy and understanding. Science and knowledge need to be our compass. Humanity is in an all-hands-on-deck scenario. Find your lever, grab tight, and keep cranking it. Thank you. So, 2007, I started the vast conspiracy to bring clean air, clean water, and a healthy planet through fighting climate change. Pretty quickly, surrounded myself with scientists, and just, it was obvious that for us to get the CO2 reduction we needed it through climate policy. And this is us in 2017 at the first ever bipartisan climate caucus meeting. So this is Republicans and Democrats. I'm happy to say there's 87 Republicans now on this caucus. We unfortunately haven't gotten them to take a positive vote on climate, but we are getting there. I am confident on that. We actually, not public, but we're introducing a Protect Our Winters outdoor state climate bill in the next coming months in Congress, because we feel like we have these Republicans. But make no mistake about it, the hardest mountain in the world is Capitol Hill. Because unfortunately those 87 congressmen have yet to take a real vote on climate. And it's really hard to think, and especially if you look at traditionally in our district, we formerly had the worst climate denier in Congress history, Tom McClintock. We have a new congressman. It seems like he's in similar ethos as McClintock, but the jury's still out. But what's crazy to me is that, hands down, the biggest economic driver in our district is the 8 or 9 mountains. It's the all the companies and businesses that rely on clean air and clean water. And at Protect Our Winters, we call that the outdoor state, and it's bigger than the extraction industry, bigger than the pharmaceutical industry, bigger than the gun industry, and there is not a single elected official that is afraid of the outdoor state, because we suck at coming together and sending a clear message that we will not accept a climate denier in office. But we did pass an incredible climate bill by the narrowest of margins. The final, we don't know exactly what pushed it over the line, but I can say a day before the final piece, Senator Manchin moved on it, is he got a letter hand-delivered from Snowshoe Mountain, which was the biggest jobs employer in the state of West Virginia and the biggest taxpayer. And at POW, we call this bill the BFD, the Big Fucking Deal Bill. And it is igniting the climate, clean tech future. When it first came out, it looked like it was going to mean about $360 billion invested. Immediately, it was $30 billion. Got announced in clean tech manufacturing, mostly in red states, employing almost 10,000 people. And so we are off and running, and I was on a college tour before the election, and I got to stand up for the first time and look out at these kids and say, we have a shit ton of jobs coming your way. This is an exciting time. All right, the last thing that I want to go over here, hopefully I can find it. So, this is Connor Ryan. You should watch this movie, Spirit of the Peaks. It's absolutely incredible. Indigenous skier. And I asked him, there's a long interview in the book, but I asked him this question. There aren't a lot of Indigenous people sliding on snow or at the resorts. How does that make you feel? Well, I see it as a reflection of everyday society. Resources are extracted from the land and become the wealth of people who aren't native. In that way, skiing can feel like an extractive industry. Even though I love skiing as much as I could possibly love anything, I still recognize how the industry exists by profiting off of stolen land. Yeah, it's hard stuff. This is hard. As an Indigenous person, I feel incredibly lucky to have a career where I get to be out on the land every day. But I also think, dang, if other Indigenous people could be a ski patroller or a ski instructor or a lifty or whatever, their mental health and well-being would be so much better. Any job in the outdoor industry could be really impactful. So I say that because I think it's really important, and I don't know if anyone from Palisades is here, but I want to thank them for changing their name. And I know Connor wants to thank them for changing their name. I know it will take time, but you are on the wrong side of history if you're in that grumpy, why'd we change the name, when. Still trying to find the slang. Right now I'm kind of with Pallywood, but something's out there. Hopefully we can find it. But thank you all so much for coming. It means the world. And pray for snow. Thank you.
All right, y'all, give it up for Jeremy Jones.
Thank you. What are we doing?
Okay, guys, we're going to do a quick Q&A if you want to stick around. We've got a microphone in the center of the room if you want to queue up there for some questions. Jeremy's also going to hang out after the show and sign copies of his book. But for real, who enjoyed that?
How much of that is different from, let's say, like the other two jobs?
30%. And
All right, Jer, our first question is from an online viewer. The question is,
I don't know what you were nervous about. It was really inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
This is not to give you for business.
Yeah, well,
I would love to be able to reach out to you.
I might need your business.
No, it's not for that. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you.
I don't know how to reach out to you.
Right. Good. I'm on mic, so I can't.
okay, guys, we're going to scrub a Q&A. We're going to get in line to meet Jeremy and sign his books against the wall over there. Thanks for coming.
I was afraid it would go.
Join us again on January 5th for Adrian Ballinger. Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you.